I'm going to start this video off by telling you guys to do one thing for me. Just chill out. Chill out, everybody. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. The Jaguars today, actually yesterday by the time this video is going to be posted, started mandatory mini camp. So it's a 3-day mini camp from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, where you have to show up, and if you don't, you are subject to fines if the coaches and front office wants to do that. And a key player that is not in attendance is Yannick Ngakoue. Yannick Ngakoue was a third-round pick in the 2016 NFL Draft and has far exceeded the value that he was worth. I mean, of any defensive end drafted in the 2016 Draft, he has the most sacks with 30, which supersedes guys like Joey Bosa or DeForest Buckner. And he is just elite. I mean, he's a great player. I'm not going to go as far as saying that he is elite, but he's got a bunch of strip sacks. He's helped wreak havoc for the Jaguars, and he's been a huge part to this defense. And he said that they're still working through the contract negotiation. And I understand how Jaguar fans are a little frustrated right now, and a lot of that's just because there's not much going on right now. I mean, really, just all these OTAs. It's just been so much drama with different guys showing up and who's not showing up, with Telvin Smith deciding to skip OTAs. And this is just another thing where Yannick Ngakoue said that they are still working through contract negotiations. Now, just because they say that does not mean that he's not going to get a contract. It does not mean that they're working out a contract right now. He said that they're still working on contract negotiations. If the Jaguars literally just said, no, we're not going to re-sign you, then he'd probably be here. He'd probably be saying, look, this is going to be my last year here. I'm going to ball. I'm going to keep playing. They're working through contract negotiations right now. But the thing that's very weird about it right now is how he reported to the first day of OTAs. And a lot of people were surprised. They said, wow, Yannick Ngakoue's here. He's not going to be holding out for a new contract. And he met with media and said, look, I am going to be a team player. I'm going to be here for all of this. I'm going to let my agent work it out. Now, then after that, he started disappearing. And I don't know if that's because maybe the Jaguars lowballed him. I don't know if the agent said, look, if you want to get more money, you have to kind of put your foot down. Take a step back from the team real quick and look at you yourself and see what's still going to be the best for you. And that might be the agent's advice, and say, look, take a step back and let us work through these contract negotiations. And hopefully by the time training camp comes about, we're going to have you a fat new deal. Now, it does make sense to extend Yannick Ngakoue this season right now, just because it's going to be a lot more expensive if you're going to want to sign him at the end of next season. And when you look at it, you've got 1 year of control over him if you're not counting the franchise tag. But the franchise tag is going to be ridiculous, just because in the franchise tag you get a 1 year fully guaranteed deal, where it's essentially an average of the top 5 guys at your position. So look through all the top 5 highest paid defensive ends. It's going to be a high number. So they'd be best served to really extend him right now. So like I said, guys, just chill out right now. If because you look at the time schedule. Look, in March they're worried about signing free agents, signing new guys like Nick Foles, Chris Conley, whatever. April they're going to be focused on the draft. May is really when they kind of start, I think, thinking about extending guys in your own team. And that's when Yannick Ngakoue showed up and then stopped showing up. Okay, so they have all of June, all of July, and hell, they have all of this regular season to extend these guys. I mean, that's when they did Brandon Linder. That's when they did Telvin Smith. So just chill out right now. I do think Yannick Ngakoue will get extended, and that's going to take care of itself whenever it does. Now, another guy that I want to talk about is Jalen Ramsey. We're going to talk about Jalen Ramsey and then Myles Jack a little later. Now, Jalen Ramsey went out to the media and said that the Jaguars aren't going to be extending him this year. And in my opinion, why would they? They've got 2 more years of control over him. They have this season and they have 2020. So what is he gonna hold out right now and be like, all right, I'll just wait till 2021 to play another game? No, it's not gonna happen. Look, Jalen Ramsey, if they extend him, it's going to be next year when, after they bang out a Yannick Ngakoue deal, they can hopefully sign their own in-home talent, and hopefully that the talent on the roster does develop. Now, if I were to look at who I think they would extend between Yannick Ngakoue or Jalen Ramsey, it's a really interesting discussion, just because you look at Yannick Ngakoue and you just look at him as a person. and just his work ethic. Like, I just feel like he's so much more of a Tom Coughlin guy. I mean, it almost looks like he's tweeting out stuff that Tom Coughlin would want to tweet out. Just hard work, like effort. He's always just kind of playing an underdog role about how people are sleeping on him. And I just feel like he's more of a Tom Coughlin guy. But at the same time, you have a stacked defensive line group, and I feel like it's probably easier to find defensive ends like in the draft. It's a lot harder to find big lockdown corners like Jalen Ramsey who are able to just play on an island with these guys and shut them down. You just don't see that very often. And really, with Jalen Ramsey, you look at him and you don't think that he's much of a Tom Coughlin guy. Hell, they've had their own disputes. You know, remember last year where he cussed out a media guy and he got suspended for the Minnesota Vikings joint training camp practices. You remember just this offseason where Tom Coughlin called them out at the State of the Union saying, look, every player should be here. And, you know, you've got to think that they've rubbed each other the wrong way every now and then. However, you can't look past the talent. The guy is an elite talent. I mean, he is absolutely generational. I mean, if you were to ask me who's better at their own position, I would definitely say Jalen Ramsey is better at cornerback than Yannick Ngakoue is at defensive end. Now, we're comparing two great players, but, you know, I just had to compare it like that. Now, if I were to have to choose between extending either Yannick Ngakoue or Jalen Ramsey, I'd probably choose Jalen Ramsey just because I just feel like it's a position that, like I said, I feel like it's harder to find lockdown corners than defensive ends. I look at it and we did draft a Josh Allen. We have Calais Campbell. You look at it like that. And also, you also look at it from a markability standpoint. I mean, I feel like it's good to have a Jalen Ramsey on a team just because the Jaguars have, in the past, just not had very marketable players. I mean, we've had, you know, between now and like Maurice Jones-Drew, who all have we really had? I mean, I remember back in 2013, the star player on the roster was like Cecil Shorts. That was the face of the franchise. Like, Jalen Ramsey really gives us an identity. Whenever I do a generic Jaguar video, I usually put Jalen Ramsey on the thumbnail just because, you know, he's a big player for the Jags. So, you know, you look at it with Yannick Ngakoue and Jalen Ramsey, just chill out with it, guys. Like, let it play out. I mean, maybe I'm just too laid back and chill about it. As you guys know, like, really the only time I get super mad is like after the Jaguars blow a game, because then I get really passionate about it. But this stuff in the offseason, you can't control it, so let's let itself play out. And then I also want to mention Myles Jack a little bit. Myles Jack is going into his final year of his contract, and, you know, he's a guy that Doug Marrone has said that he openly really likes. He thinks he's severely underrated, and he's obviously a guy that we drafted in the second round in the 2016 draft, along with Yannick Ngakoue and Jalen Ramsey. And it'd be interesting with him. Now, I always thought that you're either going to have to give Myles Jack a new contract or you're going to have to cut Telvin Smith. But obviously with Telvin Smith doing his thing right now, who knows what's going on with there. But with Myles Jack, man, I would definitely like to extend him. I don't know how possible it is. I'm not good enough with the money thing. But a couple of good things that we do have is Jod Idzik is very good at designing these salaries to make it pretty cap friendly. And we have an owner who is very, very rich. And that lets you put up a lot of money up front in signing bonuses. And it lets the 2 first years of the contract be extremely cap friendly. So I wish in a perfect world we'll be able to extend Yannick Ngakoue, Jalen Ramsey, and Myles Jack. If we're only going to be able to extend 2, it's obviously going to be Jalen Ramsey and Myles Jack. I mean, I cut players to be able to get those guys. You know, I cut high-priced players like AJ Boye, Andrew Norwell. Just get these guys out the roster so we can extend these guys that are cornerstone pieces to this team. And, you know, we can worry about hopefully hitting on our draft picks and letting those guys really carry the team going forward. So I just kind of wanted to address that because I know it's kind of a dead period right now. We don't get to watch OTAs and minicamps, so all we do is hear what the attendance is, and we get to see a tweet saying, "Oh, Nick Foles threw a beautiful ball to Chris Conley," you know, that kind of crap. So I really hate this time of the year. A lot of people read really into it, but not me. I keep it real with you guys, as you guys know. So that's about the end of the video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Please drop a like, subscribe to the channel. This is UC at Jaguar with GenJag.com. Go Jags, and I'm out.